The air inside of the barrage were stale, thick with sweat and gun oil, and the great tension of war. You weren't even supposed to be here. Not in this base, not with Task Force 141. 17 years old and barely finished secondary school, and somehow, by some fluke of life and some strings being pulled by someone far above your pay grade, you were stationed here, quote, interning, unquote, under the elite group. They didn't know at first what to do with you. Who the hell thought this was a good idea? Price had muttered, eyes narrowing as he looked up at you. And down the day you arrived. You wore standard fatigues. You realized they hung a bit loose, but standard nonetheless, and your boots had barely seen mud, but he didn't say more. And the tension in his jaw told you everything. Ghost was even worse. You'd been warned, don't take it personally. He's just kind of like that. But the skullmask didn't help. He never acknowledged you beyond a grunt or simple command, or just a look. Like you were kind of like a fly buzzing around his shoulder. Soap, on the other hand, was loud and warm and constantly cracking jokes, always seemingly trying to include you. Gaz was kind of somewhere in the middle, watching you with a calm curiosity. Still, it wasn't enough to make you feel like you belonged, until the base was attacked. It came Friday morning. You were organizing medkits, trying not to gag from the antiseptic stench when the first explosion shook the building. A second came seconds later. Alarms screamed to life and you froze. Then someone grabbed your arm. Ghost. Move, he snapped, dragging you down the hallway as you stumbled to keep up. I don't have a weapon, you stammered. You're not getting one. You're going into the bunker, he said, shoving you towards the steel door that sealed you beneath HQ. But you didn't move. Your heart pounded. Go, he scolded. No, your voice cracked. I can help. I can. You'll get killed, he said back. I don't care, you replied, and that made him stop for just a second. Then before you could even react, he pulled a pistol from his side holster and shoved it into your hand. You don't shoot unless they're already close enough to see the white in their eyes. Understand? You nodded. The world was noise and light, and somehow you ended up pressed up against a wall in the middle of a firefight, your back to Soap, who crouched beside you, rifle braced. You're right, he shouted, asking. You nodded again, clutching the pistol like a lifeline. You didn't fire at once, but you were there. He helped reload and bandaged a wound, and when it was all over, when the enemies were dead or captured and the smoke began to clear, Gaz found you alive, sitting on the ground, shaking, but alive. After that, things began to change. Price gave you his old hat with a gruff, "Keep the sun out of your eyes, rookie." And Gaz invited you on drills, and Stelp started calling you kid with affection instead of irony. And Ghost, well, Ghost didn't ignore you anymore. You did all right, he said one night, standing next to you while you watched the stars from the rooftop. It was late, and everybody else had gone to bed. You looked at him startled. You think so? You asked. He nodded. Didn't freeze, you just stayed in it, and that's what matters. You were quiet for a moment, then you looked at him sideways. Do you still think I shouldn't be here? There was a long pause. Yes, he said bluntly, but not because you're weak, because this life takes something from you. And I'd much rather you keep it. And that stuck with you. The next few months passed like a strange blur. You trained harder. You got better. You stopped flinching at gunshots. You started hitting targets with precision. Starting to hold your own. You were still young, still soft to the world, but no longer just dead weight. And one night you found yourself walking with Ghost again. He'd taken to showing you up when you were alone, always quiet, never too close, but never too far, like he was watching you, guarding maybe. I mean, you didn't mind it. In fact, you looked forward to it. Why do you wear the mask? You asked. He didn't answer for a while. Because I'm not the same man without it, he finally answered. It keeps things separate. He thought about that and then shrugged. I think you're right either way, he joked. He didn't respond, but you couldn't help but see the small way that his shoulders seemed to relax just slightly. You started calling him Simon in private, and he never told you to stop. Then came the mission. A rescue op, simple extraction went sideways. Too fast, too chaotic. You were separated. You were cornered and you were terrified, but you didn't freeze. You remembered Ghost's words. Don't shoot unless they're close enough to see the white of their eyes. You shot 3. When Ghost found you again, he didn't say anything at first, just crouched beside you and checked your wounds, minor disgraces, and then pressed a gloved hand to your shoulder. You're okay? He asked. I thought I was gonna die, he admitted, trembling. But I didn't. I didn't die. He nodded. You stared at him, and he looked back. You don't have to prove yourself anymore, you know, he said. You nodded but answered back. I still want to. He exhaled slow. That's the problem with you. Brave enough to keep trying even when you shouldn't. You smiled at that. That's not a bad thing, is it? No, he said softly. But it means I worry about you. You blinked. You worry. His eyes flickered away. Don't get used to it. But you knew. From then on, Ghost walked beside you and set him in front of you. But as the rain pattered softly on the barracks, steady and rhythmic like a heartbeat, you were now sitting on your bunk, elbows on your knees, and a half-finished protein bar in your lap. The lights were dimmed. Everybody else was either asleep or busy with reports. All except for one. You ever sleep? You asked, just loud enough to linger, just outside the door frame. Ghost leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed and skull mask blink in the dark. Not well. You didn't ask why. I mean, you knew much better than to ask now. Instead, you scooted over and patted the spot beside you. Want to not sleep together? He huffed, almost a laugh, but after a moment he moved to sit. You both stared at the far wall. The hum of silence between you was easier now, less like tension and more like comfort. Got a letter from my mom today, he said. She said she's proud that I'm making a difference. Ghost tilted his head. Does she know what you're doing? He asked. You chewed your cheek. Not really, just that I'm somewhere classified and doing something sorta important. He looked forward for a few minutes, and he was quiet. It's better that way, he responded. You looked up at him. You don't talk about family much. I don't have much to talk about, he said. He smiled faintly. Yeah, that's fair. You sat together in that easy silence for a long time until Ghost suddenly spoke again. You did good in that last stop. You stayed smart. You stayed calm. You looked out of your lap, the praise warming your chest. Thanks. I was scared, and I still am. Being scared means you don't have. No. He stopped himself. You weren't sure what he was going to say, but he seemed to reconsider it. And he tried again. Being scared means you still have something to lose, he said this time. And that's not a weakness. He looked at him. What do you still have to lose? You asked. He didn't answer right away. Then he turned his head towards you. You? Soap. The team. I don't love losing people, you know. The word stuck something deep in you. I don't want to lose anyone either, he murmured. Especially not you. The mask hid his expression, but his shoulders tensed slightly as if bracing. You're not going to, he said. Not while I'm breathing. Training the next morning was brutal. Soap ran drills with a wicked grin, barking commands that had you vaulting over obstacles and doing push-ups in the mud and scrambling into the barbed wire with your heart pounding. You call that crawling? He teased. My Nan moves faster. You groaned, face covered in grime. Your Nan isn't in the army, Johnny. She bloody could be, he responded back. You laughed despite the ache in your muscles, and later in the locker room, Gas tossed you a water bottle and gave you a nod. You're improving. Really? You asked. Yeah, not just surviving anymore, you're starting to fight. You felt proud of that, but not just because they noticed, but because you felt it, like some steel had finally started forming in your bones. Ghost passed behind you on the way out. He didn't say anything, but his hand brushed your shoulder, brief and fleeting and stealing. You caught the barest of a whisper as he left. Good work. That evening, the base's lights flickered. Storms cutting out the power. Price announced. Stay in pairs. Backup generators are spotty. Guess that means I'm stuck with you, rookie. Soap grinned, but Ghost shook his head. Wine's with me. Soap raised an eyebrow. Didn't think you liked babysitting me. Ghost didn't rise to it. Didn't ask what you thought. And that's how you find yourself sitting on the armory with Ghost, sitting on ammo crates with lantern lights and casting eerie shadows on the wall. You ever think about what happens after this? You asked. The war, the missions, the killing? Ghost didn't answer at first. I used to, he said eventually. Back when I thought there was an affair. You watched him closely. You don't anymore. I try not to. Makes it easier. Do you want there to be more? You asked softly. He looked at you for once. Your eyes saw something in him. Something real and human. Yeah, he said. Sometimes. You swallowed. What would you do if you could walk away right now? His eyes flickered. Somewhere quiet. No missions, no masks. You smiled faintly. Would you still want to know me without the war? He hesitated. Yeah, I think I would. You leaned in closer just a little bit, but not touching, but nearly. I'd still want to know you too. Neither of you moved for a while, just sitting in the quiet, on the sharp edge of something soft and something real. And maybe it wasn't too bad having a kid here. Just maybe.